What Gary Trent Jr. brings to the Raptors that nobody else on the entire roster can bring, in my opinion, is a player that can get Gary Trent Jr. familiar with the starters, as he's going to be a starter next year and hopefully for a long time from now, build the chemistry. The future is now in Toronto. What's up guys, welcome back to Clutch Takes, and today we're going to be talking about why Gary Trent Jr. must start for the Toronto Raptors. Now if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to drop a like as it helps reach a larger YouTube audience and also means a lot to me. And if you guys are new here, make sure to subscribe and comment on the video your thoughts, as I always like to get back to everyone. Now for the topic at hand, with everyone healthy, the Raptors are rolling out a starting lineup of Lowry, VanVleet, OG, Siakam, and Khem Birch. This has caused Gary Trent Jr. to be the odd man out and go to the bench, and honestly is a bad move for the now and mostly for the future, and let me tell you why. When the Raptors traded for Gary Trent Jr. at the trade deadline, they wanted him as a long-term asset, or else they wouldn't have traded Norman Powell, and if they were to trade Norman Powell, they would at least got draft picks for the future. Masai values Gary Trent Jr. With Masai valuing Gary Trent Jr. this much to give up a surging Norman Powell having the best season of his career, the Raptors need to give him a legitimate shot to see what he can do. What Gary Trent Jr. brings to the Raptors that nobody else on the entire roster can bring, in my opinion, is a player that can create his own shot. This is something that the Raptors have been so desperately lacking, someone to be able to close games potentially, someone to end those minute-long scoring droughts, someone to just be a bucket getter. The Raptors have had stretches of team basketball when OG is heating up, Fred VanVleet when he's hot from three, Kyle Lowry, Siakam when he's driving, but we need someone who's a reliable, consistent force. Now, I'm not saying that Gary Trent Jr. is already that player, or if he can even become this player, but I feel he has the potential to be that player, so why would you put that player on the bench? Now you might be asking, if Gary Trent Jr. is this good, who do we take out of the lineup? Now this is a hard decision, as you don't take Khem Birch out in my opinion, as we've already tried the small ball and we seem to be working well with Khem Birch, so I would leave him there. Pascal Siakam is obviously your 4, you don't take OG out from the small forward, so that leaves you down to Fred VanVleet and Kyle Lowry. And in my opinion, you take out Kyle Lowry. You should have traded him at the trade deadline, but you didn't. That's swearing over spilled milk now at this point, but honestly, I've talked with JJ Buckets about this and we feel like Kyle Lowry would be a great asset mentoring the players on the bench, such as Malachi Flynn. In my opinion, this would make the Raptors a better team for the now, as it would create more spacing, someone that can create their own shot, and bring a new element to the Raptors while looking for the future. Get Gary Trent Jr. familiar with the starters, as he's going to be a starter next year and hopefully for a long time from now. Build the chemistry. The future is now in Toronto. Now we're going to do something on this channel that I don't usually do, and that is due to copyright, as YouTube is very strict with their video policy, but we're going to go into it anyway. And we're going to go into Gary Trent Jr.'s night when he dropped 44 points on the Cleveland Cavaliers, shooting 17 and 19 from the field. I feel like this game obviously was his best game with the Raptors, but it showed a lot of good signs and why he needs to start, and it showed how he can create his own shot, it showed his tight handle, it showed all of the elements of his game and his true potential with the Raptors. So without further ado, let's get into it and react to it.
NBA health and safety protocols, and so Nick Nurse deciding to rest Pascal Siakam, as that bucket is good.
Right now struggling. Obviously you don't want to let him get him going, but don't give him any backdoor cuts. Keep him on a perimeter, get a hand up.
Raptors 19 for 24. Wow. Make that 20.
So you see Gary Trent Jr. there. He did a nice little move, spin, created his own shot on a good defender in Okoro, I believe that was. And yeah, that's just like one of the things he can do, creating his own shot. Let's keep continuing watching.
24. Wow. Make that 20 for 25 as Trent connects. He's got 7. Lespi's got a great story from Minnesota. Went to a Division III school. Trent with 9.
And really important now. You got a nice lead and you're doing a lot of good things. You got to take care of business on the glass. As Cavs
Trent,
get after it.
The three-pointer. 63 points and there's 6:20 remaining. Oh, the denial by Boucher, standing tall. Trent, stutter step move on a pull.
That's like another simple thing. Just stop, pull up, hit the shot. Like, we haven't seen these things since pretty much DeMar DeRozan. and it's just like awesome to see. Obviously, you don't want someone that's too ISO heavy or slows down the offense, but you need this every once in a while. And Gary Trent Jr., it's like a really great sign. And yeah, this kid can do watching.
Up feeling it right now. And Cleveland really struggling here. Osman 0 for 2. Trent, bucket and book it. Wade, it was a miss, pardon me.
See, that's like from the three-pointer. We all know he's a shooter. He sizes up his defender, tough shot, got a hand in his face. He still hits it down anyway. This is what you need in the playoffs. You need someone, hand in your face, doesn't matter, you still have the shot. This is why Kawhi was so great for us. When we couldn't hit a bucket, Kawhi was always there as our safety blanket. Gary Trent Jr., we need to give him the chance to have this opportunity. If he can do this, like, we need to let him fail, and we need to see if we can possibly have a player like that.
How about
Trent fading? And the bucket is good.
Looking like Carmelo Anthony fading in the corner. Jeez. Like, if I'm not convincing you by this video, if you guys have not already seen it, man, like, this man needs to be starting
inside
ASAP.
bank shot, good.
But yeah, I think you guys get the deal of it. Gary Trent Jr., he has really great handles, has a really great three-point shot, as we all know. Can pull up into his mid-range, can get to the rim, can play great defense. Like, the man can do it all. We just need him to we just need to give him a chance. Like, if he fails, that's fine. There's been a lot of times I've seen when he's airballed. I feel like Gary Trent Jr. is really a rhythm player. You need to give him that opportunity. When CJ McCollum was out of the lineup for the Portland Trail Blazers, Gary Trent Jr. stepped up as he was in a bigger role. We shouldn't just limit him to a catch-and-shoot three-point player. He has so much more potential than that. So that's going to do it for the video. What do you guys think? What do you guys think Gary Trent Jr.'s ceiling is? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys next time.